Welcome to the Explainer. We're going to jump right in. Think about a project you've seen. A brilliant team, a fantastic idea that just completely crashed and burned before it even got going. Well, chances are the real problem, the thing that doomed it from the start, was a weak or maybe even a non-existent project charter. Today, we're going to fix that. We're going to show you how to truly master this document. So let's ask the big question right up front. Why does this happen? How can a project with all the right ingredients just fail to launch? It's usually not about a lack of talent or money or even time. It's something way more fundamental, something that happens right at the very beginning. And here it is. The root cause is a project that's born into a vacuum. It exists in this weird gray area where there's no single authoritative source of truth. It's like it doesn't have a formal birth certificate. There's no clear backing from leadership, and no one is officially empowered to lead it. This is exactly the void the project charter is designed to fill. Okay, so here's our game plan. We're going to start with the why this document is so critical. Then we'll dissect the what, the anatomy of a really solid charter. After that, we'll get into the how, the inputs and tools you need to build one. And finally, we'll talk about how the charter becomes your project's North Star, guiding you all the way through. So, Section 1, why charters matter. And you've got to understand this part, because a charter isn't just some piece of administrative paperwork you have to check off a list. No, it's the strategic document that officially brings your project to life. It really is its birth certificate. Now, this is the official definition right from the PMBOK guide, which is basically the Bible of project management. And there are two phrases in here that are absolute gold. First, formally authorizes the existence. This is the exact moment your project goes from a cool idea to a real thing the company is doing. And second, provides the project manager with authority. This is where the magic happens. This is the key that unlocks people, budgets, and the power to actually make decisions. And check out how these benefits just cascade one after the other. It starts by connecting your project to the big picture company strategy. That connection justifies its existence, right? Which then leads to a formal record and a visible commitment from leadership. That commitment in turn helps establish partnerships and unlock resources. And the final crucial link in the chain? It empowers the project manager. It turns them from someone just managing tasks into a real leader with the authority to get the job done. All right, we get why it matters. Now let's talk about what goes into one. We're going to break this down using a framework that top consultants love. It's called MEES. That stands for Mutually Exclusive, Collectively Exhaustive. All that really means is that we're going to look at all the pieces of the charter, make sure they don't overlap, and that together they cover absolutely everything you need. No gaps. Now, I know this list looks like a lot, but you can think of it in three simple chunks. You've got the what and why, that's your purpose and objectives. Then you've got the high-level plan, your risks, milestones, and budget. And finally, the who, your stakeholders, and of course, the project manager. But listen, if there are two things on this list that are absolutely non-negotiable, it's these: measurable project objectives and the PM's authority level. If you get those vague or wrong, you're building your whole project on sand. This brings up a super common point of confusion. People look at that list and think, wait, isn't that what the project scope statement is for? And the answer is a big no. They're totally different. Think of it this way. The charter is the 30,000-foot view. It says we are going to climb that mountain, and here's why. The scope statement, which comes later, is the detailed trail map. It says, here's the exact path we'll take to the summit. And, just as important, here are all the paths we will not take. Okay, so how do we actually create this thing? A great charter doesn't just appear out of thin air. You have to synthesize it from some really key pieces of information, your foundational intelligence. And we can group these into two main buckets. First up, you have the business documents. The business case is all about the why. It answers the big question, does this project actually make financial sense for the company? Then you have its partner, the benefits management plan. This document answers what? What value will we get? And how are we going to make sure we actually get it? Now, as a PM, you probably won't write these, but you absolutely have to live and breathe them. They are your source material. The second bucket is all about context, the lay of the land. This means understanding any existing agreements, like contracts or service level agreements. It also means you have to consider the environment you're working in, things like government standards or just your own company's culture.
And finally, you have to tap into your company's own institutional knowledge, what the pros call organizational process assets. This is the treasure trove of templates, policies, and most importantly, lessons learned from projects that came before you. Don't reinvent the wheel, and please don't repeat past mistakes. So once we've gathered all that raw intelligence, the next phase is all about transformation. We use specific tools and techniques to forge it all into a single, clear document that everyone agrees on. And I use the word forge on purpose. This isn't really an act of writing, it's an act of facilitation and building consensus. And really, the best way to think about this is as a simple 4-step workflow. First, you get the right people in the room. You can't do this alone. Second, you use structured methods to collect all the data and ideas. Third, and this is the hard part, you facilitate a conversation to get everyone aligned. And finally, you formalize those decisions into the charter itself. And each of those steps is powered by these specific tools from the PM Toolkit. You use expert judgment to tap into wisdom. You use data gathering techniques like brainstorming and focus groups to get ideas on the table. You use your interpersonal skills, facilitation, conflict management to navigate the human side of things. And you use meetings as the place where it all comes together. So, you've done all the work, you've used all the tools. The whole point of this process is to produce 2 key outputs. And these aren't just documents. They're the official green light that says, go. And here it is, the primary output, the signed, sealed, and delivered project charter. This is the official record. This is the source of your authority as PM. The moment your sponsor signs this, your project is officially real and you are officially in charge. But, and this is so important, the charter is not born alone. It has a critical companion that's created right alongside it, the assumption log. See, every high-level statement in that charter, the budget, the timeline, the resources, is based on a whole bunch of assumptions. This log is where you write them down. Why? Because an assumption that turns out to be wrong isn't just an oops. It's a massive project risk. Documenting them on day 1 is your first best defense. Okay, so the charter is signed, the project is launched. Your job is done, right? You just file it away and forget about it? No, absolutely not. In fact, its most important job is just getting started. It's now your project's unwavering guide. For the entire life of the project, this document is your North Star. A stakeholder asks for a new feature? You check it against the charter. You're deep in the weeds of detailed planning? The charter reminds you of the big picture. And at the very end of the project, the charter provides the very success criteria you'll be judged against. It's the one thing that keeps the project from drifting off course. And that brings us full circle, right back to this killer line from the PMBOK guide. When you strip everything else away, this is what the charter is all about. It's not a plan. It's a delegation of authority. It's the instrument that gives a project manager the formal power to lead. So as we wrap up, here's the question I want you to think about for your own projects. Is your charter just a document you ticked off a list? Or is it a living, breathing guidepost that's actually strong enough to be your North Star? Is that foundation you built solid enough to handle the storms that you know are coming? Because let's be honest, a project with a weak charter is just a ship sailing without a rudder, lost at sea.